Right. Croeso pawb I Pwyllgor Gwasanaethau Democratic. Welcome all to the Democratic Services Committee. Today is the 21st of February 2022. Felly, prynawn da, good afternoon. My name is Councillor Del Morgan. I'm the chair of the committee, and just to make you all aware, today's meeting is being recorded. And if there are any members of the public and press today, kindly ask that they observe the meeting only and not speak or participate. I don't see any online at the moment. In addition, can I refer you members to the protocols for remote meetings which have been previously circulated? Namely, your microphones should be switched to mute unless you are speaking. Should you wish to ask a question or make a comment, can you please indicate either via the chat function or by raising your electronic hand via Teams. I will assume you've all read the paperwork before us today prior to the meeting. Please only use the chat function to indicate if you wish to speak as an alternative to the electronic hand or to raise any technical issues. When asking a question, can you please indicate which page number you're referring to? And when speaking, please introduce yourself unless I do so for you. As you can see, the first item it will be to undertake a roll call. So I'll now ask Alison if she could help with that. Over to you, Alison. Diolch yn fawr.
Thank you, Chair. So I'll mark you down as present. I've had apologies from Councillor Angharad Aubrey. Councillor Jeremy Hurley.
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Sandra Miller.
Present.
Councillor Sean Percy.
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Alan Llewellyn.
I think I've seen an email saying that he can't make it.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Anthony Richards.
Presennol, present.
Councillor Steve Hunt. Apologies from Councillor Anthony Taylor. Councillor Suzanne Menkes.
Present.
Councillor Leanne Jones. Councillor Stephanie Lynch.
Present.
Thank you. I'll now move to officers. Craig Griffiths.
Present, Alison.
And Stacey Curran.
Present, thanks, Alison.
Has participated in the meeting today, whose name that I haven't called? No, I think that's the roll call complete, Chair.
Diolch yn fawr, Alison, thank you. Right, members, before we go to the items proper, I just wanted to note that we have had apologies from my Vice Chair, Councillor Angharad Aubrey. I just wanted to congratulate her on the birth of her baby girl, Envis. I'm sure members will be pleased to note that all is going well with her, and we wish her well. Item 1 on the agenda now then is to take any declarations of interest. Are there any? If not, we'll go to item 2. Minutes of the previous meeting, pages 3 to 6. So I will call the pages. If any of you have any difficulties of content, please put your hands up or jump in. Page 3, page 4, page 5, and page 6. Okay, if you're all happy, can we have a proposal and seconder, please, to adopt the minutes?
I'll move, Chair.
Thank you. Seconder?
I'll second.
Diolch yn fawr, thank you. So item 3 is the draft annual report of the Democratic Services Committee. This is on pages 7 to 17. So members, if you could refer to the front report, and then the appendix is actually the report itself. I just wish to point out on the first page, which is page 7 of the covering report, it has got report of the Democratic Services Chairperson. It's not actually that, as you've heard me say many times, it's our committee annual report. So it's the main title is the Democratic Services annual report. And if you look in the appendix, you'll see that it's actually an annual report, but it does run from May 2020 to February 2022, because for obvious reasons it would be very awkward for us to have a 2021-22 reports running from May to May because the administration's coming to an end. So I don't intend to go through any of the items other than to present this to colleagues because I had, as you would expect, some great assistance from officers to draft this report. But it's not my report, as I stress. It's our report as a committee. So please, members, if you've got any issues with any of the items, or if you just want to note that you're happy with it, with the report, then please do jump in. There is a recommendation on page 8 of the covering report asking all members to endorse this report, and then we commend it to full council. So are there any issues, any items at all? If not, then we'll go to page 8. Somebody please move and someone second the recommendation to note that the annual report and commend it to council.
I move, Chair.
Thank you, Sandra.
I'll second that, Chair.
Seconded. Thank you, Sean. Okay, if all members are happy, then we'll do that, and we'll move swiftly on to item 4. Item 4 runs from pages 19 to 31, and it is the member induction program 2022. So I'm going to hand this over now then to Craig Griffiths. Craig.
Thank you very much, Chair. So as members will be aware, back last year, you kindly helped us to look at the member induction programme that we were planning for the May 2022 period onwards, following our local government elections later this year. We did come up with a revised timetable at that point and covered off the key areas that we wish to see, which was also then subsequently commended to council to make them aware of it. Since that date, we have been making a few little updates, just basically adding a few different sessions, ultimately, which I think could be beneficial. So all we've done here is just bring that updated timetable back to Democratic Services Committee, just for you to see how things are progressing. You'll note the specific dates, obviously, that we're going to be working to as well for these various sessions. And albeit quite ambitious timetable, I think is probably the best way to describe it. And it's going to be a lot of work with members, obviously, once they're elected from May onwards, but we have tried to space it out as much as possible, focusing on kind of some of the key skills which we think members will need in the early days, obviously, of them taking up appointment once they are elected. And we'll be working then with members throughout the course of the year to build on knowledge in different ways. And one of the things we're going to be looking at in the next Democratic Services Committee, in the next administration, is going to be how we can further build on what members will have learned at induction, what different training opportunities will be provided for in the future, and just further embedding training into the opportunities we can provide members as part of this process. But the initial timetable we work into is just included within your papers, but Stacey and I will be happy to answer any questions you might have on it. So diolch, Chair.
Yeah, diolch yn fawr iawn, Craig, thank you. Okay, so we'll take questions and any comments from members, please, on the report. First is Councillor Stephanie Lynch. Stephanie?
Thank you. I just wanted to say, as quite a new member, that I really appreciate that this is being done. I think being a councillor is such a high and steep learning curve, and I don't think that's often appreciated. So just thank you for putting this together. And I wish it would have been, there for a by-election, but it's really, really good that this has been looked at and updated. I think it's going to be really beneficial to councillors in the new term.
Yeah, thanks for those comments, Stephanie. I'm sure that officers have it very much in mind that there might well be some new members joining mid-term, so to speak, and I think that's going to be taken on board. Thank you. So, nesa, Cynghorydd Anthony Richards, go for that.
Great, diolch, Cadeirydd. Yeah, I absolutely agree with what Councillor Lynch said. A fantastic amount of work has been put into this, and in fact, the timetable follows quite nicely, I think. You've got some of the more important aspects at the beginning of the term and as time goes on. But my question, and it follows on quite nicely from what Councillor Lynch said as well in terms of by-elections, is possibly looking at that more blended approach. So, for example, I know that we may have had some training at the very beginning, but of course not everyone can always make that training, and whether or not there was something available that's always housed via video and e-learning. Probably video is going to be the easiest way to do it initially. And then that would tie in quite nicely that, you know, when Councillor Lynch was elected more recently, that she could then go and watch that video. I know you're always on hand to give support, but sometimes it's, I mean, even existing councillors who've run a 5-year term or some 10, 20 years could sometimes do with refresher training. So I don't know whether or not we could maybe look at that blended video e-learning approach. But, you know, great work on that.
Diolch, Anthony. Yeah, that's right. Excellent point. And I'm sure if I remember rightly, we did touch on it in the task and finish group as well. So that will be, I'm sure, taken on board. Officers, you want to come back in?
Yeah, just to give you a quick update. So yeah, absolutely, Councillor Richards. I think that's one of our key aims going forward. And it's one of these new ways that we can embrace some of the technological aspects that are open to us now. So we're looking at it from 3 perspectives and how we take this forward. The first being, we're going to aim to try and conduct all of these meetings as hybrid. So people will be able to sign in, obviously, remotely and join the meeting from the comfort of their own home, workplace, wherever the case may be, or opportunities will be available for people to attend in the council chamber, hopefully at that point, once the work is concluded. We're also going to be looking at recording all the sessions, and they'll be available hopefully on the members hub. So obviously members will be able to access them at any time that they wish to in this process. We're also as well working at the moment with the WLGA, who are designing a set of packages, shall we say, which members will be able to utilise as part of ongoing training, and it will cover things like scrutiny, data protection, standards, freedom of information, all of those basic elements which we'll be covering as part of our training sessions. There will be online materials that will also be available as well. So we're trying to cover off as many different scenarios as possible for members to get the benefit, whether they are elected in May and for the duration of their term, or whether they come on board at a later date. Nobody should be disadvantaged in any major way.
Thanks, Craig. Right, Councillor Sean Percy next. Sean?
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, just a quick one, really. I had a sort of a look through what's there, and obviously the training sort of program kind of extends well into the year, which is why I'm sort of mentioning the issue of the LDP and the local development plan, and I'm throwing that into the mix, because obviously new members are going to be to a degree thrown into the deep end, because I believe the candidate site list will be published quite shortly after the election. So I'm assuming there's going to be a session, but maybe it should be in that list as something that should be flagged up. That's all.
I'm sure Stacey will illuminate us on that now.
Hot off the press. Yes, it is. It's one of those ones that was in review and we didn't have an exact date on publication, Councillor Percy, which is why it's continually reviewed and updated. Yes, it will be included in the general one and a specific one for planning members. But yes, hot off the press, that's going in this afternoon.
Excellent. Good timing that. Right, so next, Councillor Sandra Miller. Sandra?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Looking at the programme, it looks, very comprehensive, and we are working the hybrid format, but you have a number of them, obviously, in the council chambers, and as you said, if all the work is complete. Now, I think members will need to know what the setup of the chambers is like, because if they want to attend in person, it has to be suitable, and I think you know where I'm coming from on this. But equally, I'd like to know if the hearing loop has been facilitated there during all these renovations that have gone on, because there are many people that are hard of hearing and that need the loop. Off the top of my head, I can see one that would need to have the loop, and has found it quite difficult not having that facility in the past. So I'm wondering if all these things that were flagged up in the disabled survey that we did many, many months ago, whether those that are the easy, tick boxes have actually been put into the renovated chambers. So, but I think members will need to know how they're going to format it, because I would be feeling, from my own point of view, if I am to be, re-elected to come on board, I would be very, very unhappy if I couldn't attend chambers because of the extreme limitations that were present prior to the pandemic. And for me, my condition has worsened somehow. So I would want to know if I can get in that chamber. And there might be many like me that would need to have that assurance. So if we can have that information as soon as possible, as soon as you get it, but I think it will need to be there for anybody coming on board in the next administration. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Sandra. I'll hand over to officers, but I think the key word is accessibility, and accessibility in all manners. So whether we're accessing the council chamber and all its needs, as you've illustrated, Sandra, or whether it's a remote attendance, that the accessibility has got to be good, hasn't it? So officers, can we give reassurance to Sandra and all of us?
Absolutely, yes, we could no doubt provide that assurance. So what we'll be doing as part of the induction program in the first instance as well is doing what we call an accessibility survey, so we can work out if there are any issues for individual members that we need to overcome. So that would be one element for any new members who are elected in May, where we can help try and address those issues. And as part of the member induction process, one of the elements will be the members will have to obviously come into the building and sign in, obviously, and sit with us and do the requisite forms that we would need to do as per the usual custom. And hopefully we'll be able to address any issues then at that point. So picking up your points with regards to the hearing with Councillor Miller, I will come back to you specifically on that element. I know there are works ongoing to address it. I don't know whether it's been done under initial stages or whether it's part of the next stage, which we'll be working to at the moment. So I can confirm that for definite and come back to you in due course. But certainly what we can do once we have the works concluded, we might be able to get some photographs around to members, obviously, so you can see what the new chamber will look like and how the new setup and everything like that works. So we'll try and get that information up to members as soon as we can.
Okay, thanks, Craig. Okay, Sandra. Next then, Councillor Jeremy Hurley. Jeremy?
Thanks, Chair. No, only a couple of things just going on really, and I don't know if it's associated. I've taken advantage of some of the additional training, not the specific council stuff, but the thing like the Microsoft Teams and 365, which is a brilliant thing. So whether you can push on, with like our councillors' personal development as well. And I clicked on Gower College today, and I didn't realise there was access to courses on there as well. So I've looked at those as well. So I think that's a good thing in that if people are developing, probably, well, I left school at middle of sixth form, so it's almost like a re-engagement with education. So I think that's a good thing. And the other thing as well, I don't know if we put it in place, whether you can foster some kind of either buddy system or mentoring system where perhaps the more experienced councillors take somebody under their wing, because that's the biggest thing I found is being frightened to ask about things. Whereas if you've got a point of contact to go to, then perhaps they can help look after you. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. All good points. Officers, you wish to respond to that?
Just to add specifically on that point, absolutely, we are exploring the buddying concept, obviously, as what Councillor Hurley mentioned as well. We're also looking at it from an officer perspective. So in the initial time, you have a dedicated Democratic Services officer ultimately to go to as your sort of first port of call if you're a newly elected member, not sure where to direct things. So that's something also we're trying to address as part of that process as well. So when in doubt, you will have somebody you could turn to. Of course, there was always Stacey and myself as well on top of that, but to have a dedicated Democratic Services officer just to be your initial contact could be beneficial, we thought. So we're going to introduce that at the same time.
Thanks, Craig. Yeah, Jeremy, diolch. Okay, so I'm not seeing any other hands up at the minute. So if members are satisfied that we've got it as right as we can at this point in time, it's obviously going to evolve when it starts. The program isn't going to be static forever, but I think we've got a good plan here. Shall we move to page 21 then? There's a recommendation which is that the committee to note the programme as it stands and the timetable, and that just formalises the fact that we've discussed it and are happy with it. So somebody move in second,
I
please.
move, Chair.
Thank you, Sandra.
I'm happy to
Second.
say, Chair.
Yeah, diolch yn fawr, Anthony. Okay, so we've done that then, we've noted it. That's dealt with item 4. The last item 5, urgent items. There are no urgent items. So that brings us to the end of the meeting, and indeed to the end of the series of meetings during this administration, unless there's anything urgent coming up, Craig, between now and May. We're saying farewell to each other for the time being, and I want to thank all of you, my colleagues, you as members and past members of the committee over this administrative period. I want to thank officers. Very, very good support from officers, as you would expect from democratic services, but my personal thanks. Diolch yn fawr iawn I chi gyd yn gwerthfawrogi fe. I do thank all of you. Craig, before we finish then, you come in.
I just wanted to add as well on behalf of the officers who are on the call, Chair, to thanks to yourself and to all the members of the committee. There's been a lot of interesting work that's been done in this committee, not only in the last year, obviously, as we saw from your report earlier, but also throughout the period as well. And in my view, it is one of the most important committees that we do have, because obviously what we're all here as part of the democratic process, and this is the committee that is designed to look at those issues and how we can best support you as members. So thank you all for the contributions and the support that you provided to the work that we've undertaken. And just thank you on behalf of us all.
Much appreciated, Craig. Diolch yn fawr. Thanks for those words. And on that note, then, I will close the meeting formally. We can stop the recording, and